So, guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. Of course, this is the very first episode of The Formula. This is where a social scientist gets to sit down with entrepreneurs and talk about what made them successful, what their plans are for the future to make them even more successful, and of course, what's the success all about? Like, what's the point of all this? So, I mean, those are just some of the questions that we're going to get at. And, of course, if you guys enjoy this, please subscribe, like, and do all the other things that, you know, you're supposed to do in social media. There's a lot of different things. But one of the most important things I want you guys to do is to comment. And your comments are going to be able to help this show become better and better. Some of your comments are going to be deleted because some of you guys are just straight up trolls. But for those of you guys who are here actually contributing, that's super exciting. And of course, I'm always, being the social scientist, being the entrepreneur, scientific entrepreneur, I'm always looking to learn as much as I can. And I can learn things from you guys as well, guys. So I'm sitting here with Chris Craddock. And Chris is the, if I'm getting this wrong, let me know, okay? Chris is the owner and team lead. Team lead?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. I'm sure you have a lot of different hats or names, titles or whatever, but of Redux Realty. It's a Keller Williams company, right? Or I don't even know if I'm getting that right because I'm not in that world. But how does that work? Is that like a franchise or?
I always joke that Keller Williams is like the NFL and we're like the Redskins, only we win a little bit more than Redskins do.
Now, are you just saying that because you're playing to your audience here at the DC area?
Bro, I'm a diehard Skins fan, and
really?
I wish we won a little bit more than we do.
You guys are doing better these last few years. I feel like you guys have been really doing a lot better.
Oh man, always setting us up for a heartbreak. Although I mean, you know, we had a good year with the Caps, so we'll see. Maybe broke the card. Although here's the one thing I'll throw out there: everybody says nothing's won, nobody's won in decades, and I'm like, well, what about DC United? They won.
Nobody cares about soccer, and I know from your background you actually coach soccer.
Yeah, I coached soccer for a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got a love for soccer, but I'm telling you, man, like soccer cannot make money in the United States. I mean, it's just we don't want it for some reason, except for the few diehards like yourself.
Fair enough.
So, fair enough. As far as being a part of a Keller Williams, and I'm diving right into questions because sure. I studied Keller's book, The One Thing.
Yeah, just finished rereading it.
Oh, really?
It's a great book. Yeah, just had our whole team reread that book last month.
Are you able to even do one thing, like focus on one thing? Is that part of your structure, your planning?
Bro, that's what we got to do, man. Like, I mean, the best in the world make the complex simple. And so what is the one thing that you can really focus on that if you do that, everything else kind of starts to fall into place? Right. And today, I mean, I was on a call with my business coach, and I had one things I was really struggling in. So he's like, look, well then we got to boil it down. What is it? And so he got down to it. He's like, to really make the two things that I was talking through. He's like, then it's talent acquisition. It's finding the right talent for the organization. Your business coach, which is exactly why you even have a business coach. I'm sure you have more than one. He was able to take your problem. You were able to do maybe verbal diarrhea. I'm sure it was just like, oh man, this is wrong. This is wrong. Absolutely. He takes all that and he just goes, all right, cool. Here's the answer. Well, not quite. I mean, so I ended up, I got a doctorate in leadership and got certified as a life coach and everything. And I remember in the life coaching thing, which I thought was when I had to do it as part of the program, I thought that, oh my gosh, life coaching, is that really what I wanted? Like, it just seems so, I don't know, but almost like guidance counselor-y. Yeah, like, I mean, like I don't know. It just feels weird. But then when I went through the training, I mean, a lot of it was actually pretty cool. And one of the things that they talked about, they said most people, when you're a life coach, most people already know the right answers. They just need to dialogue a little bit, and then you can just ask them questions to nail it down. And so rarely do any of the coaches that I have just straight up say this is the answer. Although today was one of those rare times, just because I was like, this is my one thing and this is my one thing, and he's like, well, it sounds like your one thing is really neither of those two things. It's about, continuing to get into business and attract high level talent.
Do you mind diving or telling our audience what your issues are?
Yeah, sure. The two things we were wrestling with is, we've expanded into some other locations for our real estate business, and I also want to grow out what we're doing here in the DMV area, tremendously.
That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. For those of you guys who aren't from the DC area, we call it the DMV. It's not the car place.
Sorry. Oh, good call. But yeah, so we wanted to build it out, and both of those are just very important to what we want to do. And so as we were talking about what it takes to build it out here locally, and also build it out globally, it was one without the other doesn't really work that well. Right. And both of them end up being the problem ends up being talent acquisition. How do you just continue to get into business? And I'm in business with some of the greatest people in the world, and I think that's why we've had the success we've had. And how do we continue to do that is, we continue to bring in really, really top level, top tier people into the organization.
I've got some fantastic questions for you because I'm actually at that place, and last year I made a big push myself to try to find talent, and that's a lot easier said than done. We're going to take a break, guys. So in a minute we'll be back with Chris Craddock. Guys, I'm back. Thank you guys again for watching. I'm here with Chris Craddock, and we were just talking about talent acquisition, getting the best talent that we can possibly get. And I don't know if I went about it the right way, but let me ask you, obviously you already have a great team that's helped propel you to where you are today. How did you get those people? Like, what was your journey in finding those people?
Well, one, I really do believe that, in providence, I think that, I'm a Christian guy. I believe that, that people are brought into our life at the right time. I also believe that I'm a big John Maxwell fan, and he talks about the 5 levels of leadership, and you're only going to attract people to your organization if you are growing like crazy. Because if you don't grow, then they max out at where you max out. And so by being able to have opportunity that will allow other people gigantic opportunity, that's when you can be in business with them. Because the second I'm not growing, the second my organization is not big enough for big thinkers, then I lose those people. And so that's where it's got to be something where my vision has to be big enough that these incredible thinkers can be a part of the organization, and both of our visions can coexist together and live together, and nobody is being squashed. Nobody's vision is being squashed. So as long as I'm adding value, and I'll tell you what, man, I pay a serious price to learn and grow. And I don't know if you, I just love systems. And so for me, when I work out, I'll do, I love like P90X because it's dummy proof, right? You put in the thing, you press play, you do what it says, and it's
results will come.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You just do what it says, color by numbers. And same thing, Body Beast. So I was just doing Body Beast, and one of the things that the guy that runs it, he said on there, like it was like a hard workout, and he's like, everybody wants to be the beast until you realize what the beast does to be the beast.
That's right. That's right.
And you think about that, and in life, I always think of myself as a dreamer because I like to dream big. I like to think big. But I also see lots of friends that are dreamers. But the difference, I think, is there's lots of dreamers in life that don't put the dream to action.
Right.
Don't do anything about it. Just hope that good things will happen, but never do anything.
Right.
And
complain that good things don't happen.
Exactly.
Because the dream is there, but the action part's not there. It's like it's interesting the time frame that we live in now, because a lot of people that are watching this are people that are looking for those answers, and maybe they don't have the $500,000 dollars to get a quality coaching program with coaches and masterminds and all that good stuff to kind of figure out the I don't know, the tips and tricks, or I guess better than tips and tricks. They're getting tips and tricks on YouTube and whatever, but they're not getting like you watch these things on YouTube, and the one problem I have is that they're always like getting close to sort of the formula, the answer, but not quite getting there. I mean, it's like, yes, we'll give you the answer as long as you, and I get it, it's a business, it makes sense, but the idea that you've got the people online, our audience, who's looking for that stuff, what are you doing besides just looking at it? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple things. So one, I love the old Yogi Berra quote, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah, I love that.
It's one of my favorites. The second thing is, I mean, forever, everybody thinks there's the overnight success story. And I'll tell you what, a lot of my buddies, a lot of people make fun of me because my wife and I watched the Justin Bieber documentary, Belieber. Go ahead, bring it on. Make fun of me. But here's the thing.
We're done here. It was nice having you on the show.
But here's the thing. Everybody knows Justin Bieber as the guy that was the overnight success story, right? Like he put a video on YouTube and it blew up and then he was successful. But it's bogus. There's no such thing as an overnight success. It's the 10-year overnight success story. All the books talk about it. Everything. The Japanese bamboo grows underground for 7 years, and then in 24 hours, if you YouTube it, 24 hours, it grows over a meter.
Wow.
Because of all the work it's done. You see the hockey stick progression on businesses, like this, and then, and with Belieber, the Justin Bieber thing, go ahead, everybody make fun of me, all that. But with it, I mean, the boy was working hard for a long time.
Super talented.
He was talented, but man, my boy was grinding. He was working like crazy as a little kid, always practicing, always working,
right.
going at it.
So that when the opportunity came, he was ready for it.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that's the thing. And then the other thing too is like, yeah, I mean, maybe you don't have tons of money to get a coach, but here's what I will say. I've heard so many people complain about that. You can't afford not to get a coach. Somebody that will help you think beyond. You don't know what you don't know. You
Right.
don't know what you don't know in
That's
business.
right.
And you also need somebody to call you on your, on your stuff.
Really?
I mean,
like what? Well, what are some things that a coach would call you on?
well, your limiting beliefs. We all have these limiting beliefs. Well, I can't. I mean, for me personally, there were a couple things in my business that I needed to grow in. I needed to leverage out and trust other people in. And my coach, he was just like, well, then do it. And I'm like, but I can't because and he's like, sounds like an excuse. Why don't you just do it? It's like an ab workout. You hate it, but you love it, right? And so
Absolutely.
So that's the whole thing. He was just like calling me on my junk, and as he called me out on it, I realized I got to do these things. And some of the stuff, he's like, look, he's like, all of a sudden you lose your legs, you need to do something. How are you going to get somewhere if you can't walk? You got to figure it out. So why do you need to lose your legs to figure it out? And so Peter Thiel and Tools of the Titans, one of the Tim Ferriss's book, which is really, really great. Mm-hmm. He asked the question. He's like, so what do you want to do in 6 years, and in the next 6 years? And then he's like, why not in 6 months?
Oh wow.
Why not?
Right. And now, was he saying take your 6-year plan and condense it down and figure out how to do it in 6 months?
Yeah, he's saying why do you need to wait 6 years? And it's like one of my favorite movies, Rocky III. I love Rocky III. It's
with Clubber Lang.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. There's that scene where
it's my favorite too.
Where Rocky, he lost the eye of the tiger, and he's just like, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And Apollo Creed's like, there is no tomorrow. You got to do it now.
Right.
And I love it. I love it.
That's a good mind frame to have.
Oh yeah, man.
Now.
That's why these things that we think needs to take 6 years can't take 6 months, because we think, I'll figure it out. I can't do it now.
Procrastination.
Oh, yeah. If you lose your legs, you're going to figure out how to get around,
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
It's mindset, bro. It's mindset.
Right. And and especially here in the United States, I think people are, you got these guys like Bedros Kulian, you got guy, he's a fitness empire guy. You've got Gary Vaynerchuk. You got these guys who have what's called the immigrant mindset, something that a lot of us Americans who are used to living plush lifestyles
have you read that Brian
Buffini
book, The Immigrant Mindset? Or I think it's like
not yet.
The Immigrant Edge, I think is the name.
Immigrant Edge. That's right.
It's really good.
That's right.
Really
so what do you think about that? You believe that's a thing? That's a real thing?
Well, I think it's a mindset, man. I think that's the whole thing. Is some people are hungry. So in our business, as we look at it, we look for people that are happy, hungry, humble, and smart. And one of those things. Happy. So when I was in ministry for a long time, I had a mentor of mine who was like, he's like, look, somebody comes to your church and they were not happy at their old church. They're complaining about their pastor. They're like, you need to tell them about another church down the road because it's just a matter of time before they're going to come to your church and they're going to be complaining about you.
So true.
And so happy people tend to be happy, right?
Right.
Hungry. And this is the whole thing, man. I spent a lot of time feeling like Jerry Maguire. Help me, help you. You know, that kind of stuff. If you don't want it, man, I can't help you get it. Like, I don't care how much I want it. I can't want it enough for you to want it, right?
Right.
And so it's like you add systems, you add machinery, you add whatever it is to a dream when somebody steps in. If I throw gasoline and there's no fire there, it's just going to be a wet spot, right? You know, like you can't do anything with that.
I love that.
So you gotta be hungry. You gotta rip open their chest and see the heart of a lion inside that wants to win, that wants to compete, that just desires to win. Winners will find a way to win.
Right.
You know, so happy, hungry, humble. Look, if you can't learn from other people, then you're just not there. I mean, I had somebody that I spent time with. I still love her. I think she's great. I was offering to help her with a bunch of stuff. And it's just funny because every time I offered any advice, I mean, she was struggling in real estate investing, which, I work with a lot of investors and I help a lot of people flip houses, buy rental properties, find stuff under market. And every time I was offering her free advice, and granted, sometimes it's worth what you pay for it, right? But I was offering her advice, and her answer was always, I know.
God, I hate that.
I'm like, come on!
I hate that, especially, George St. Pierre, he's, I don't know if you're familiar, but yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know, George St. Pierre is one of the greatest, he's a legend, he's a GOAT in the MMA game, UFC fighter, just one of the best records you're going to find. And the thing they say about GSP is that he will learn from anybody. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if he thinks you're, if you're like, oh, I'm a fighter, or if you're not a fighter, he can find the lesson from anybody.
I think Mark Twain once said, "Every man is your better in one area or another," and he said it much more eloquently than I just did.
Like he usually would, right? I mean, that was a fantastic writer, right? That's actually something that I'm trying to get good at, especially in my industry and in marketing. It's like, it's not how many words you can put into something, it's how many words you can take out of something and it be understandable, and that's one thing I'm trying. I think doing stuff like this, talking to people and then also crafting my messages, the intros, the outros, call to actions and all that stuff, and trying to make it as concise and as powerful as possible has been helping with that. Now, let me digress, or let me jump to another topic real quick. You said that you're not just in real estate.
Yeah.
What other businesses are you in?
So again, this goes back to the one thing. As long as my real estate business is really good, and this goes back to, and you hear me quoting a lot of books because I'll tell you what, if we can't be learners, then we're lost. Man.
Right.
We just have to learn. If you have to learn on your own, man, that's again not humble.
By mistakes.
Learn from
a lot of mistakes you're going to make.
Why would I reinvent the wheel, right?
Right.
And so going back to the one thing, the flywheel that we have in our business is the real estate world. But I also have part of a construction company, part of a title company, an insurance company. There's a couple other.
So it's smart. So what Chris is doing here, and you'll hear this from a lot of big coaches, is when you branch out and do other businesses. If you're really trying to be successful, it's not a whole other business. It's a business that actually complements your main business, the business that you started with, and then
All synergistic.
they all work together, and just smart. That's just so smart.
Yeah. I mean, I love. I don't know if you watch The Prophet at all.
No,
Marcus Lemonis. It's great. I mean, he has all these businesses. He buys a sign shop because, and helps them turn around a sign company because all of his businesses need signs, So it's just interesting how they all are playing out together. But the crazy thing is, again, going back to the one thing, the better my real estate business does, the better all the other businesses do. And we have a couple other things, our hands in a couple other pies as well. But that is the key. And here's the other piece too. And one of the mistakes I make is when any of those businesses rely on me personally, I'm lost because I think it was Gary Keller who was saying that you can have 1,000 other businesses as long as each one of those has a who attached that's not me.
Oh, wow.
As long as it's me, then it lives or dies with me. Then it's a job. Then I'm working for money instead of money working for me.
So I was just about to ask you that. So, we're talking more than just two businesses here that you are
Right.
doing here, and my immediate question in my brain is like, you're just one guy. How do you do that? So there you go. You answered the question. It's
Amazing
not
business
just
partners. Amazing business partners.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where it's really important to go into business with high talent, amazing business partners.
Let me ask you this actually, and this ties in with your other thing. How do you twofold? How do you find your mentors, and how do you find your staff, the people that are helping you be successful?
Sure. So mentors, I've always, since the days right after I got married, early, I was on Young Life staff, and, one of the things that I would always do is just seek out people that were incredibly successful in different areas. So there's a guy that I know that, he has just an awesome marriage. He's an awesome dad. He's a very successful guy business-wise as well. But I get together with him to talk about family and stuff. I talk some about business and stuff, but, or organizational growth, all that. But what I cared more about was, family, because he was just really good with family. And I'm just realizing I haven't gotten together with him for a long time, so I'm glad. I need to get together with him and pick his brain. I got another friend of mine that is just a stud business guy. Just built a couple amazing monster businesses, and just get together with him and think about dreaming and everything. And that is like the piece there. I've got another friend that is, I almost call it like my personal board of directors, right? Mm-hmm. People that are like that. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, he who walks with the wise grows wise. Mm-hmm. And so for me personally, Jim Rohn also says, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend time with, right? Yep. And so I work very hard to spend time with people that are way above me, because then my mind starts going up like that. And otherwise, I spend time with people. So one of the girls that works in our organization today, she shared that she wants to own an island one day, right? And what do most people think when somebody says something like that?
Just keep dreaming.
Yeah, well, most people are like, yeah, keep dreaming, like roll their eyes, keep dreaming, right?
Yeah.
But the cool thing for me is I heard her say that, and my guess is probably some of the people in our room, in the organization, and in our organization that think big probably rolled their eyes, right? Like, yeah, right. But what I thought was like, that means I'm in business with the right person, because that is the kind of people I want to be in business with.
Big
People
picture
that think
people.
big.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with the people that are mentors in my life. I want to be with people that when I share my dreams, they're not going to roll their eyes. They're not going to say, "Who is this person?" Like they're gonna say, "Yeah, let's think about how we
could do that."
Yeah, think possibility, right?
That and that takes me to the fact that let the audience here know, you don't just have mentors, you are a mentor.
Sure.
What have you been doing on the mentor side, helping others?
Well, I don't know if you've, so the Dead Sea is one of my favorite analogies. The Dead Sea has actually so much nutrients and everything like flows right into it, but it's dead, right? Nothing can live there. Do you know why?
No.
It's got no outlet. It doesn't, everything flows into it, nothing flows out of it. So it kills it. And that's what happens to us. Man, we have got, if we are not having stuff flow in and flow out to others, will die, you know, and that's the key. You know, when I started coaching soccer, I played at a high level, you know, state championship level. You know, when I was in high school, it wasn't until I started coaching that I really understood the game, because I was teaching other people. You know, I was teaching at a high school level, which was lower, a little bit lower than the club level in soccer when you're playing at a high level. So I was coaching at a slightly lower level, but I was also coaching with a former professional who is one of the best coaches around. And so I was learning from somebody that obviously thought bigger than I thought better than I thought. But still, as I started coaching, I learned things that I never learned as a player on a high level team. So that's where it was just really important. If we're just taking, and again, I think that's part of life, man. If we're just taking, and we lose.
I feel like you know, this whole, as you know, anxiety and depression and suicide and all these things that are becoming so commonplace in our society now, I think has a lot to do with the fact that we're not giving back. We do take, and people in you know, society, people in media especially, are lying and saying, oh, it's because you haven't achieved. You're not achieving. You're not driving hard enough, you know? And it's like, no, that's not the reason why. The reason why is exactly what you just said. You've got so much coming into you.
100%.
And nothing coming out. You've got no purpose. You think that making a lot of money and becoming, you know, this great entrepreneur is your purpose. That's not your purpose. I feel like that's more of a vehicle to do the work that you really are supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the whole thing. Like, what is your why?
Yeah.
You know, and if your why is just yourself, if your why is, I mean, and part of that, I don't know if you're familiar with Earl Nightingale at all. He was kind of the godfather of like the personal development movement. You know, Zig Ziglar and all those guys like came out of that idea. Which, if you get a chance to listen to some of Earl Nightingale's stuff, it's really good. But one of the things he was talking about is if you go after money, if money is the end result, then you're gonna lose. Like, because you'll do anything to get money. You'll give up your morals. You'll give up anything that you have. That
family.
You fight for. Yeah, everything. You'll just sacrifice it all for money.
Right.
The key is to go after success. And what is success? Success isn't just money. It's to be a good family man. It's to be a good dad, but good husband, mom, you know, whatever it is. Like, you know, whatever you're looking for, that is like success. And the cool thing, it's like fire in a fireplace, right? Everybody wants the heat, but you got to build the fire. So the success is the fire, and the heat is the byproduct. The success is the money is the byproduct of building a successful life, right? So you do really well at what you're doing. And actually, this came from one of my mentors. He told me one time I actually had a house flip that I was doing that blew up, right?
Oh yeah.
Not kidding. Like
bad
not,
blow up or good blow up? Like really blew up?
It blew up. I'll tell you what. I had 34 missed calls when I was in a meeting, and I found out that my house blew up.
Holy cow!
And I had the chance to walk away from that or stay in it. Now I had insurance, and I could have kept going with it. But the reality, long story about how I was able to walk away from it. I had a incomplete settlement addendum. Anyway,
lawyers involved?
Don't need to get into the minutia of it, but what I'll say is I could have gone forward. Insurance would have covered it. I probably would have made about $350,000 if I would have gone forward, but I would have been in court every single week for years. And you know, one of my buddies, he was like, Chris, what I found in my life is when I chase money, I'll always lose. But when I chase success and just be very good at what I'm good at, then the money will just happen. It'll just come in as a byproduct. And for me, I was like, all right, done. I'm walking away. I mean, literally, I would have made $350K on that deal, would have been in court a lot to deal with it. But I mean, insurance would have covered everything. And, but I was able, I just got out of, lost 10 grand and got out of the deal. And I was okay, you know, because I didn't want to chase money. I wanted to chase success.
Right on.
Money comes from success.
There you go. And having that mind frame will most likely drive your success as opposed to you spinning your tires looking for money, because money like you said, going after money will probably cause you to make more mistakes and not get to that place you want to be.
Yeah.
So the people that are watching this, and they watched it maybe because, Chris Craddock, real estate entrepreneur, the people that want to be in your shoes, but they just started, what are the steps that you learned for them to get at least on the path to where you are today?
You gotta get connected with high level thinkers. You gotta, if you are gonna shift your world, you gotta shift your mind. And the only way that happens is with people that think on a bigger path than you think. You gotta shift your mind. You gotta shift how you think. And so that's one of the reasons why. So Gary Keller, the reason he's a billionaire real estate guy is he just created this expansion opportunity, which allows big thinkers to still stay in his organization and grow as big, if not bigger, than he's grown inside of his organization. And so, and learn from him and everything else on that front. So what I would say is, get in a business with big thinkers. We created expansion organizations and expansion opportunities in our organization so big thinkers can partner with us. And, if you're thinking real estate, love to talk to anybody on that front.
So is that now, if somebody comes to you or I guess my question is that hard to do for somebody who has no experience and maybe they just got their real estate license? Is that hard for them to do, is it to get connected with these big thinkers?
Well, the cool thing is, so for me, one of the things that I did when I first got licensed is I literally every single week I would call and set up a call with somebody that was doing real estate on the highest level all across the country.
What does the highest level mean?
I mean, what I was calling and looking for anybody that was doing somewhere between 150 to 1,500 transactions. When the average real estate agent sells 4 to 6 houses a year, right?
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and so
150 is an insane amount. That's a big team too, right?
Yeah. So our organization this year, I mean, with the new expansions we're bringing on, we're probably going to sell like 350 to 450 houses, somewhere in that range. We want to be up to 1,000 houses, which
wow.
We have a track record to. We have a path, sorry, not a track record, but a path to that.
So you're saying you're about 300 now, and for this year, or was that last year?
In the 12-month period, we're pacing on this year in 2000, just over 300 for our organization.
And you wanted to go to 1,000.
Yeah.
Between now and when?
Well, I think in the next 3 to 5 years,
okay.
We'd like to be at 1,000. We'd like to get to
why not 6 months?
It's a good question. And here's the thing, limiting beliefs. And this was a conversation I had today with our ops director. The limiting beliefs, if you fight for your limiting beliefs, you know what you get?
What?
You get to keep them. Right? You
yeah,
get to keep them.
That's true.
And so the conversation we had with our limiting belief or about our limiting beliefs with our ops director is what happens if we bring in enough people into our organization that we could get to 1,000 in the next 6 months. Could we handle that in the back office? Because that's a very real thing. You've got to be able to deliver on your promises.
Yes.
And so
yes.
So that is the piece we're trying to do is build out our back office, our success team, in order to make sure that as we grow to that level, we can deliver on everything we've promised. And so we've been able to do that, and that's what we're working on because it's really important.
Fantastic. So you have this team, and I obviously, like you said, you're working on back office. You're making sure that your processes are as I know home owners and home sellers. The one thing that is common between the two of them is they want this to get done quick. They want their house sold quick. They want to buy the house quick. They want to get there, right?
Sure.
That doesn't even happen unless they know to come to you guys, right? So how important has marketing been, and what kind of marketing are you guys in, and what kind of marketing do you envision in that 3 to 6 year plan?
Well, the whole real estate industry has changed so much. I mean, it used to be the individual agent, and now, I mean, frankly, the individual agent is always going to be around because of just relationships they have, but it's really shifting to a team because at scale, I mean, literally, we're going to be spending close to $100,000 a month, in the next year or so, just on marketing, back office, just things that will at scale you can do at a very high level, but without scale, an individual agent can't do these things. And so you're seeing, and even technology and AI, I mean, Keller Williams is investing, I think, $50 million a year for the next 6 years on technology.
Good.
Just because everything is changing, and you've got to be at the forefront of that.
Isn't it a good time to live, to be an entrepreneur? This is the best time for an entrepreneur.
It's awesome, but it's also scary. But as long as it's scary when you have the scarcity mentality, right? That that you're out. But I love what Mark Cuban talked to. Mark Cuban's like, look, if I lost everything, he's like, if I know how to sell, I can go to door and sell encyclopedias if I have to,
and he can get it back.
Make money.
Because, like you said right here, it's the mindset.
Yeah,
scarcity mindset. You're always going to be afraid. You're never going to be able to produce for yourself. You're never going to be. It's the same thing as I tell people. In another life, I tell people, I say you need to learn how to shoot, hunt. You need to learn how to do the things that we did before there was technology, because if everything goes bye-bye because of, electromagnetic pulse of some kind, which is totally possible, all of a sudden we're back to mountaineering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, are you going to be one of the people that's just going to be dead, or are you going to survive? And I think entrepreneurs have that survival mindset. I think that entrepreneurs are the ones who are going to be like, all right, I guess I'm going to learn how to hunt now. You know what I mean?
You can't be a successful entrepreneur, unless you're competitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to love to win. Although here's a question I have for you. A friend of mine asked me this: do you hate to lose more, or do you love to win more?
What a great distinction. So I used to fight competitively in Muay Thai kickboxing. And I did a little bit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, although I don't even want to talk about that debacle. When I trained because I was thinking about not getting my ass kicked. Right. I was not training because I was thinking about holding up my trophy. I was thinking because I don't want to get my ass kicked.
Yeah, I hate, I heard somebody say this, and I think it's true. I remember the losses much more than I remember the wins, which is crazy.
Yep.
And I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing yet, but
does it motivate you? That's all I care about. Let me tell you something. I was in shape. I was well trained. I was ready to go. I wasn't going to gas out because my fear response of not getting handled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether that got me to success, right? I mean, I don't know what the drawback is. Like if my thought was, I think it's just two different sides of a same coin. It's you're driven, but what drives you,
And that's the whole thing. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you've got to love to win so much that you're just willing to do whatever it takes within the moral boundaries.
We're Christians, so we're not going to say whatever it takes and then be like, including things that are morally wrong. We're not going to mess our morality up. We're not going to do immoral things, but we're not going to pay attention to the fear. We're not going to pay attention to our own self-doubt. And especially if we have somebody, that's why the mentor thing is so important. It's like the mentor is able to kind of look without that whole emotional, because we get emotional. I think that, especially, I don't know about you, but I think as a CEO, I'm a CEO. I'm not a COO.
Right.
I'm a very emotional, big picture type of guy. I want to win, like you said, and I don't want to lose. But that's also to my own detriment because I can also get hung up real easy.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a mentor, man. Tell me about you were talking, before we started the show, you were talking about you've got a group, right? Or something? You got a program or something? What was that called? Do you want to talk about that? The millions?
Oh, well, it's not really a group. It's a class that I teach.
Okay.
And I think is really important. I call it mindset. It's called Mindset to a Million. And you know how in my first 2 years of residential real estate, you know, we grossed, not netted, grossed at the time, over $2 million in gross commission income. So the importance of that is, I think a lot of it is right here, you know, in the mindset. And frankly, if you want to win, the first thing you got to do is you got to get this right, and you got to really, and then get this right. You got to really want it, right? And I found that to win, a lot of it is just throwing yourself in front of success. Just get in the way of success, right?
What does that even mean?
Just do enough activity. I mean, I found to win in anything, it's activity and skill, right?
You could be spinning your tires though. So like, how do you know what activity you should be doing?
So that's the important thing. So, you know, when you look at the Mindset to a Million, like what are the things? You know, it's mindset, mindset, motivation, and methodology. Okay. Right. So if you got to get your mind right, you got to understand what it is to win. You got to really desire it. You got to know your why. You know, Simon Sinek. Start with why. Right?
How do you figure out your why?
Well, I mean, you got to. If you can't sit down and say, what is it that you really want? What is it that motivates you? What is it that when you close your eyes and know what the touchdown is? Imagine playing football where you don't know where the first down is and you don't know that the touchdown is, right? I mean, that'd be...
Well, that's most people that's living right today. They don't know why they exist even.
Yeah.
Imagine living life without that.
And if you're an entrepreneur, every day, literally... My job, you know, when I was working as a pastor, my job never ended. When I started as a real estate agent, there's more people I can call every day. There's more things I can do every day. But here's the thing: unless you know what it is, what your first down is, and what your touchdown is every day, you can go home and you could be winning and not know you're winning. You could be losing and think you're winning. So you got to know what it is. You got to say, this is my first down. This is my touchdown. This is what I need to do to accomplish my goals. And that's why it's important to, you know, in Keller Williams, they have something called a 411, which is, you know, what is your yearly goal? What is your monthly goal? And what is your 4 weekly goals? And then you look at it, and if you don't accomplish it, you know that you're not going to accomplish your monthly goal, which means you're not going to, and that's the problem with entrepreneurs. They're typically very optimistic, and they're like, oh, I'm doing great. And you get to the end of the year and your numbers aren't right. And you're like, I thought I was doing great.
I was doing great. What happened? Yeah. Apparently that study goes to all Americans. All Americans tend to be more optimistic than pessimistic.
Right. And that ends up being the problem. So you get your mind right. You gotta be motivated. There's that story of, and I love it. There was a swimmer that swam the English Channel, right? Huge swim. I'm not a swimmer, man. I sink. I don't swim. But I'll tell you what, swimming the English Channel is huge. And then at one point she was swimming from Catalina Island to where is it, San Diego. So it's a much smaller swim, and she was swimming it, and people were there with her, and all of a sudden this huge fog descended, and she could no longer see the coastline, and all of a sudden she started cramping up, and she almost drowned. They had to pull her out of the water after she had swam the English Channel, right?
Like, why is this much smaller one a problem?
Exactly. But she lost her vision. She couldn't see the end goal anymore because the fog descended. And so if you don't know what it is, you lose your motivation. If you lose your why, man, you know, we're lost. We're lost without it. Yeah. So what is it you're hoping to get? And then the other thing is, like, you know, what does it gain a person to gain the whole world and lose their soul? So like, if you think your why is just making more money, but you lose your family in the meantime, which we all know the stories of the people that do. I mean, it's terrible. And then the third thing is, you know, methods. You know, Mark Twain, I think it was Mark Twain, said you can motivate an idiot and you still just have a motivated idiot, right? You know?
I love Mark Twain, by the way.
I think it was him. I'm quoting him a bunch tonight. So
we're giving it to him. That was Mark Twain.
Exactly. And so that's the whole thing. Is like, what are the methods? What are the things you're going to do to get you from point A to point B? Okay. What are the things? What is the one thing?
Right.
And that goes back to the 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle. Let's just say
80-20. I love the Pareto principle, man. That's my, okay, sorry.
Yeah. So the whole thing is, if you're an entrepreneur, you look at it, and let's just use 100,000 because 100,000 is a simple, easy number.
Thank you.
If you if you make $100,000 a year, $80,000 of that 100,000 is going to come from 20% of the activity
Of the work you actually did. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, this isn't something new. This isn't like some new made up thing. This has been around forever. And I mean, it's not just in the business world. Pareto principle actually works in everything. It's like 20% of your work is actually the reason why you get 100% of whatever is happening. Right. So, I'm always trying to figure out, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm always trying to figure out what's my 20. I always say that. What's my 20? What's my 20%?
Yeah.
Is this an 80 or is this a 20? Yeah. Always trying to figure that out. I started blogging last month, right? And I said, this is going to be part of my thing. I have a map out. Speaking of methodology, I've got a map out of all the content. And, you know, my business is video marketing, video content. Like, that's what I'm about, right? So I'm like, okay, I need to do this for myself. What all do I want to give out to people? And one of the things I was doing was I was blogging, and I saw a colleague of mine, or I guess a peer, not really a colleague, but a peer. And he, actually ex-football player, Doc Walker.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Okay. You remember him? And he, I was looking at his LinkedIn, and he put up a little poster, his face, and, and it said like the 5, yada, yada. And I said, I like that. It impressed me so much. I was like, I like that. I'm going to do that. So that lasted for about 2. I made two of those posters, which by training, I'm a graphic designer as well. I mean, no issues. I know how to use it. I know how to do that stuff. But what I found was this is taking me 4 or 5 hours to do one of these bad boys. Is this an 80 or is this a 20? And then I realized I could put this, not only could I put out the same information in a regular blog post with just one picture that kind of is funny and kind of gets to the point, and then just my points in written format. Not only can I do that faster, but it turns out people actually like to read in that way better than having to blow this thing up on their screen and be like, what does that say? And there's a lot of mess in their face. So it was like that was an 80-20 thing. Yeah. My 20 was, let me do this. And now I've got about 6 articles out, and I'm cranking them out. I'm cranking out like 2 a day, to the point where I'm putting one out, and then I'm saving the next one for the next day. And I'm like, wow, when you figure out what your 20% is, success just happens. It just rolls,
Again, it's all the principles and priorities, getting that right, is just so important. I mean, so often we do the things, and this goes back to it. If success was easy, everybody would do it.
Everybody would be successful.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody's, for the most part, at least they're saying that they're going for, they want that.
But here's the deal. Everybody can be. Everybody can, if they choose. I mean, so I was talking about this. The reason people get into real estate is because they want freedom, flexibility, and financial, rewards.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, bottom line is, in order to get financial rewards, you got to give up your freedom and your flexibility in the short term to get financial rewards, and then you use those financial rewards to buy your flexibility and
your freedom.
And that's the whole thing. And people think that they can, just get rich quick, get rich easy. I mean, there's no such thing as that. I mean, that's why you look at the lottery, right? What happens when somebody wins the lottery? They lose it.
They lose their money, yeah.
Because they didn't earn it. They didn't become the right person to earn it.
Or trust fund kids. A lot of trust fund kids, they get the money, and then all of a sudden the money's gone.
You've got to understand how to handle this stuff. Otherwise, it's gone. And so that's the whole thing. I mean, your business grows to the extent that you grow. 100%. Like, if you're not growing, your business will not grow. Is that why I've never met like a real, and I don't know about you, man. Actually, let me ask you this question. Do you go to B&Is and Chamber of Commerce meetings and stuff like that, mixers and all that? Do you do that stuff? Periodic. I've gone more as guests. I may go more often, but I've got a lot of friends that do it, and it works for them. Really enjoy it, but it's just not been my jam.
there's two things. I actually wrote an article called "The BNI Lied to Me." I know, salacious, and I'm waiting for BNI to be mad about it and cease and desist and all that, whatever. But I mean, it's artistic license. Their style didn't work for me. The style of this is what I do, and please hire me. You know, and I felt like a beggar. I didn't feel like my style in selling is giving. It's very much what Gary Vaynerchuk. He wrote a book called Jab, Jab, Jab. Jab, 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 hook, I think, right hook or something. Yeah. And what that is give, give, give. And then when you've gained their trust and you've given them a lot of value, then you do the ask, you know, and that's my style. I love that. So when somebody asks, hey, Leo, can you help me out with this? I need advice. I say, yes, absolutely. You know what I mean? If I see somebody struggling, I go, how can I help you? You know what I mean? If I see somebody in one of these mixers or something, I don't go anymore. But if I did go to those things, my thing wouldn't be, my name is Leo and I am the CEO of Vicar Studios and this is what we're video production. No. Here's my card. I wouldn't do that. I would just be like, so what's your business about? What do you do? And they'd give me their story and they'd say, cool. Well, let me know if I can help you. Is there any way I can help you, you know, in your business? Do you need some advice or anything? I'd love to consult with you if you need it. You know what I mean? And it's low pressure. And I know some people enjoy the high pressure. They're good at it. I'm not that guy. And I feel like I found that's my mind frame. I found my style. It works for me. And there you go. What do you think about finding your own style? How important it is to find your own style? Or do you believe that you get a new people into your firm and it's like, no, you got to do it the way we do it? Because we talk about methodology, right? Well,
yeah. So, I mean, for me personally, you know, I heard Gary Keller say this. I forget when it was on one of the things. I mean, literally, I listen to podcasts. I watch I spend more time training and learning than probably just about anybody in the world.
Write that down. See that right there. You've been dropping nuggets, by the way. That's another nugget. He learns more than he does anything else. Okay.
I mean, I spend hours every day. I mean, while I'm working out, I have it going. While I'm in the shower, I bought a waterproof speaker so I can listen to stuff, you know, whether Tony Robbins or, you know, a podcast or whatever. I mean, when I'm in the car, I turn something on. Like that is what I do because I really believe your business grows to the extent that you grow.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I think I heard Gary Keller say the problem with entrepreneurs is like every entrepreneur is creative. Right? And I would agree with that. Like, you don't become an entrepreneur unless you kind of see the world slightly different.
A little bit different, yeah.
You know, I think Barbara Corcoran once said, she's like, you know, entrepreneurs, she's like, I think we might just be stupider than the rest of the world because otherwise you'd realize, like, the percentage of success is really small and we'd probably be smart enough not to do it. But we're hard-headed enough and stupid enough to just keep going forward and somehow then we win, you know, because we're persistent. And but what Gary Keller was saying is, he's like, look, you follow the model, even if you think you know better, you follow the model. You do what successful people do. You think like successful people think, and you follow the model. And then once you understand the model, once you've done it at a high level, then you understand it all, and then you innovate. And so the problem is, and what he said was, the problem is entrepreneurs innovate too early. They try to do things differently too early. And so my wife is a professional writer, and she says, she's like, the best writers in the world break the rules of writing. She's like, the problem is the worst writers in the world break the rules of writing. She said, the difference is that the best writers in the world know all the rules. They know why they're there. And so then when they break the rules, they break them in a way that makes sense, that's innovative, that's creative, that's awesome. The worst writers break the rules because they don't know what's going on. And
they didn't even know.
Looks at it and
they didn't even know they broke the rules.
Exactly. And she's like, and then it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And so that's the piece there is that, you know, to be good. So when somebody comes into our organization, I am all about them being them. They can choose whichever lever they want to follow as far as the way to do well, but they're gonna follow the model if they're gonna be part of our organization at the beginning till they do well.
They're gonna pay their dues.
Yeah, they're going to pay their dues. They're going to learn what it is
I love that.
To do it right, and then they're going to have plenty of room to innovate. but they've got to, they can't innovate before they've earned the right to innovate, because they don't know why they're innovating. They think they're trying to do something differently. And the reality is, I mean, it's activity and skill. It's activity and skill.
Mm-hmm.
So, throw yourself in front of success, and then continue to learn, continue to grow, get better at what you're doing. You chop down a tree. What Abraham Lincoln said, if he had 6 hours to cut down a tree, he'd spend 5 hours sharpening
the blade, yeah.
And then he'd spend an hour chopping it down. The reality is, a lot of us don't spend time. We don't either do enough activity, or we don't do enough skill. The skill,
training and
we're working with a hand saw, when we could just pull out a chainsaw, right?
Right.
No,
well, and you're making me think, and I want to make sure I get this out there. In my industry, people are, I help businesses with their video marketing. People spend so much time trying to figure themselves out, and how am I going to do this differently? And it's like, I have to stop them right there. I say, no. We're not doing anything differently. You are different by virtue of you being you. Everything else is the same. It is a formula. Like the type of content we put out should be the same. Why? Because it's not about you. People, they get in front of a camera and they think, this is me. They become what I call starving artists. This is all about this is how. No. Media are the people that is your audience. The media is the audience. If you're not giving the audience what they want, they're not going to watch you. And what are we doing this for? Are you a starving artist? Do you not want to make any money doing what you're doing? No results doing what you're doing? Or do you want results, and do you want money coming from, like
people that get into business and it becomes a nonprofit very quick.
Very quickly, exactly. And that's one of those hard, kick them in the gut type of feelings, I'm sure, but they got to have it. It's like, no, copy. Not copy like in a plagiaristic way, but I can't use a better word than copy.
R&D, rip off and deploy, right?
Rip off. Thank you.
Originality is forgetting who you stole it from.
I'm telling you, man. And it's the same. If you see success, if you see what Chris is doing, emulate Chris. If he's successful, emulate Chris. Do what he's doing. Okay. There's plenty of money. There's plenty of money in the world to go around.
Abundance mentality, bro.
Yeah.
So many people think that if somebody's successful, somebody else is not.
Right, zero-sum game, right?
That's another reason why I love where I'm at in the brokerage I'm at, and everything else is like everybody just, we're all friends, and we're all sharing, and very rarely does everybody
hey,
everybody's
what are you looking at?
We just share what's going on, and
that's awesome.
That's the cool thing, and that's, he who walks with the wise grows wise,
That's right.
And you learn from that. The other thing, and I want to share this because I think this is probably the number one thing that changed the way I think and changed the trajectory of my life.
Okay.
So my wife talks about me being incredibly disciplined. In some areas I am, other areas I struggle, and I'm working to grow in those areas. But there's two things. So discipline, I think one of the problems with entrepreneurs is their lack of discipline, and the crazy thing is discipline. You can only be disciplined in so many areas at a time. And so we're the summation of our habits. That is the truth of our life, right? So if my habit, just think about the things. What time do we typically wake up? What time do we typically do? What do we typically do when we see food? How do we typically react?
Yes.
When we, how do we typically react to things, right? And so we're, those that struggle with any sort of addiction, how do you react to that? Bottom line is we are the summation of our habits. And so in order to be disciplined, we can only be so disciplined. So for me personally, I naturally am a night person. I like to wake up. Literally, I wake up now about the time I would prefer to go to bed, if I was just choosing. But as I was doing all my study, I love biographies. I used to go to the library and check out everything before when I was on ministry staff and I had no money, and I, had to get stuff for free. And, so I go to the library, check out all the Zig Ziglar stuff, check out everything, read the biographies or whatever. And bottom line was, I never saw anybody that was successful that didn't wake up early.
Freaking A, Chris. I just posted that on Facebook. It was a question. I post at least one question every day on Facebook just to get my people talking and stuff. And the question was, does waking up early will waking up early equal more success in your life? Will it? Does that work? Is that, and it's funny, based on what people write back, and you can look at somebody's profile and tell what they're doing, what their life is all about and all that. You can tell a lot by the people that said, no, it doesn't make a difference at all. I can, stay up late and do my best work late. And the people that go, nope. Earlier you get up, the more successful you are.
Yeah.
And those are the people that are like, you look at them and you look at their profile and you're like, holy crap. Yeah, that guy's.
There are studies, straight up, there's studies that say you have more, that willpower is like a muscle. And that in the morning you have more willpower, and by the end of the day it's atrophied, just like a muscle. And you're willing to do things that you wouldn't do in the morning. You're willing to not do things. There's the old joke in real estate. How do you get a real estate agent to stop working?
How?
Put a phone in front of them. like a bottom line is these things that, it's hard to start making prospecting calls. It's hard to do things that are out there like that, right? But the bottom line is, if you really believe that you're helping people, when you do that, you're helping people accomplish the American dream, then you can start making those calls. But it's still hard to pick up the phone.
It is,
right?
Yeah.
And so 100%, I never saw anybody and I'm sure there's a couple outliers, but as a whole, every single, as you look at all successful people across the different industries, they all wake up early. They just do. And, if you get everything done by 11 or 12 o'clock, then the most important, your 20% is done by then you can do whatever you want for the rest of the day.
It can be project time. It can be time for you, working out, whatever.
So this is how my life changed. And I'll tell you, my whole success in business changed when I started waking up early at a given time. Because, working out, how many times, and this happened to me, so I'm going to ask you this because I've asked a lot of people and they all say the same thing. How many times have you planned to work out during the day and you're like, oh, I'm going to do it in an hour. I'm going to do it in an hour. I'm going to do it later. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'll do it after the kids go to bed. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'll just wake up early and do it tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Ever happen?
Yeah.
And I like to work out, man. I like the rush. I like the endorphins. I like the feel. But I'll tell you what, happened to me a lot. And so for me, the crazy thing now is my alarm goes off. And at first, it was terrible. I did not want to wake up. But it took a lot of discipline to wake up. It doesn't take discipline anymore to wake up.
Really?
Because it's a habit.
Really?
It's a habit.
How long did it take you?
I'd say probably, somewhere between 30 and 60 days. And it was terrible.
That's what they say about diets too. If you can hang with a diet for 60 days, then that's a new habit.
Habits are easy. Discipline's hard.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And so that's the whole thing. But now I'll tell you what, I'll be up really late and my alarm goes off and I wake up because that's what I do.
It just happens.
It's just what I do.
God, well, you know what, guys? That for me. I'm a night guy. I don't know if this is an excuse or if it's real. I think it's real, but my creativity doesn't happen until about 8 p.m.
I was just gonna say I wanted to cut you off, but I didn't want to be rude.
Excuse,
but I can tell you every single excuse because I gave every single one.
All right.
I love nighttime. That is when I spent most of my time doing stuff working at the computer in my underwear at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, man.
It's
I'm so creative right now.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, the trajectory of my life changed. The whole just how I saw myself, how I viewed myself, the respect I had for myself to wake up and just get the stuff done in the mornings and know that by the time I'm ready, I walk out the door. And here's the crazy thing. So I teach my team. I do three mornings of teaching a week. And one of the girls on our team, she was an All-American field hockey player, high performing athlete. And so then I taught this class in front of tons of people, and she was in the class. And afterwards, she's like, Chris, I hear you most mornings, but it's usually white noise because it's just us, and it's whatever. But she's like, when I saw you in front of everybody, I was actually listening, paying attention.
Because everybody, yeah,
great. Nobody listens when it's whatever.
When it's just one-on-one, yeah.
But the crazy thing is, she's like, when I played field hockey, she's like, I would hydrate the night before. I'd show up early. I would run around. I'd get limbered up, loosened up. I'd stretch. I'd listen to warm up music. I'd get my head right. I'd get things ready to go so that, kind of get a sweat going so that by the time the whistle blew, I was on it. And she's like, and I've heard you talk about mastering your morning over and over and over again. And she's like, Chris, if I treated my job, if I treated this career like I treated field hockey, I would have an incredibly different level of success than I have right now. And she her success level has gone way up.
I was about to say, and then what happened? Did she actually?
Yeah. I mean, she's crushing it right now. So
that's awesome.
It's awesome. But yeah. So for me, I wake up and now and trust me, I'm a nighttime guy. And here's the problem with limiting beliefs. If you fight for your limiting beliefs, you know what you get?
Your limiting beliefs.
Get to keep them, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the whole thing. And so I wake up in the morning, I've got this legal pad. I write my goals down because I need to, I need to have that in front of me. I read my Bible because I need to feed myself spiritually. I go downstairs in the basement, I turn on whatever I'm listening to, and I turn on my, whatever the workout program is for the day, and I hit play and just, like an idiot, do what it says.
That's
Keep
right.
it simple, stupid, right?
That's right.
And instead of trying to outthink, every time I've tried to outthink it, I stop doing it. Albert Einstein, one last thing I'll throw out there for Einstein, he dressed the exact same way over and over and over again. Like all of his clothes were exactly the same because he says, I just only want to make decisions that matter. Yeah. So every time I use brain space, I'm making decisions that don't matter. So he just was like, I want to make decisions that matter.
Wow.
And then, so I'll listen to something. I'll go upstairs and cook my breakfast, and then sit down at the breakfast table and do some sort of devotional with my kids, because they say that you should have three
5
meals.
kids, right?
6.
6 kids. 6 kids. Oh my gosh.
You should have 3 meals a week with your kids to have them most healthy. And so we'll sit down, we'll talk about stuff, we'll talk about goals, life, whatever. Go upstairs, take my shower, turn on my Bluetooth speaker, listen to Tony Robbins or a podcast or something, help me think right. Get in my car, turn on, a podcast, an Audible book, something, and then get to work. And then we have our morning huddle where I'm teaching our agents. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of the thing there. And I'll tell you what, it changed my life. It really did. And I'll tell you, every single excuse anybody has for staying up late, I'll tell you, I've used that excuse. And it changes your life. You become a disciplined person. And it's no longer discipline, it's habit. A habitual person to wake up early, knock out everything, you time block, you chunk it, so you don't have to think about it.
Maybe you plan the day before too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I have a calendar, I time block, so I know what I'm supposed to be doing at different times now, and it's not set in stone. Sometimes I'll have appointments or meetings that have to be during that time, but I'll know what I'm doing during those times, so I don't have to think about it. It makes it easy. So anyway, I'm talking too much.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on. This is having you here. I knew that Chris was a busy guy, and obviously you guys can tell from this episode how much he has going on, just the 6 kids alone, but 6 kids plus the businesses and all that. So thank you for coming on the show, teaching our viewers a thing or two, and hopefully you guys had your pens out. Hopefully you guys had your phones out, or however you take notes. There's a lot of gold that was just given to you, and that's what we want to bring you here on The Formula, brought to you by Scientific Entrepreneur. If you enjoyed this episode, then of course I want you guys to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell, because YouTube is what it is today. You got to hit the bell if you want to. Well, if you want to help us out, you got to hit the bell. And of course, if you want to get content like this, as soon as it's hot off the presses, it's right in your mailbox, hit that notification bell. And Chris, once again, man, thanks for coming on, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me out, man.
All right.